Good evening. My name is Bob Connors. It's 6 p.m. I'd like to call the May 21st meeting of the Newbury Conservation Commission to order. Sean, can you read the remote open meeting law preamble and take a roll call of members present?
Good evening. My name is Sean Young, opening the May 21st, 2024 open meeting. I am the conservation agent for the town of Newbury. Please let me confirm that all members are present and can hear me. Conservation Commission members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Bob Connors.
Yes.
Brad Duffin.
Yes.
Diane O'Brien.
Yes.
Mary Rimmer. I don't think I see her. Mick Brown.
Yes.
TJ Conti.
Yes.
And Woody Knight.
Yes.
Good evening. This May 21st, 2024 open meeting. Oh, somebody has an echo. Of the Newbury Conservation is being conducted remotely, consistent with the act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, which extends the governor's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, until March 31st, 2025. This order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location and allow public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that attendees there's Mary. That attendees are participating by video and or telephone conference, and the recording will be available on the Newbury Access YouTube channel. Meeting materials were provided to the commission members prior to the meeting for review. Before we can turn to the first item on the agenda, please permit me to cover some ground rules for the effective and clear conduct of our business to ensure accurate meeting minutes. The chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. Proponents will be given 10 minutes to present. More time may be allowed at the discretion of the chair. After they conclude their remarks, we will go down the list of commission members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called further. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. Please be aware that the video participants can see you and that you should take care not to share your computer, unless you have been allowed to do so. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. For any reason, please wait until the floor is yielded to you and state your name before speaking. If the commission member wishes to engage in discussion with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself when you speak. There will be an opportunity for the public comment and questions during public hearing. After commission members have spoken, we will afford the public an opportunity to comment and or ask questions as follows. Yep.
Okay.
So Mary is here as well.
Okay, thank you, Mary. We just did the preamble and just about to get into upcoming meeting dates and minutes review.
Great, thank you.
Okay, upcoming meeting dates, June 4th, 2024 and June 18th, 2024. Meeting minutes review. We have the August 15th, 2023 meeting minutes review and May 7th, 2024. Team, as I had mentioned at our last meeting, there was a file glitch on previously approved meeting minutes, and August 15th, 2023 was previously approved, but because the content may be a little bit different, it's being presented for review and reapproval. So why don't we take a minute? I'll take these one at a time. Any questions, concerns, or corrections on the August 15th, 2023 meeting minutes?
the video recording is also available on YouTube.
Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes for August 15th, 2023?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, all in favor, Mary,
Yes.
TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Yes.
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
Aye.
Diane,
Yep.
and Bob Connors votes yes. Okay, the next minutes are the May 7th, 2024 meeting. When we take a quick look at those and see if there's any comments, questions, concerns, or corrections. Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes for May 7th, 2024?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, roll call, vote, all in favor, Mary,
Yes.
TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Yes.
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors. All right, first agenda item, the town of Newbury has requested a emergency certificate for the restoration of existing right-of-ways to eliminate a hazard and removal of medical waste from the beach. Sean, why don't you give us a quick overview of that and your discussions with Mass Wildlife and where we're at on that.
Yeah, so to start, the right of ways, they are unsafe. I've almost fell down one of those right of ways as the dune was collapsing under me. Here, I'll pull up some pictures.
Now the right-of-way, Sean, are located from Center Island south. There's no symbolic fencing or nesting currently in the locations of these right-of-ways.
Yep, nope. So that is access way, emergency access number 12 and emergency, I know for sure, emergency access number 12 and emergency access number 11. There's pictures in the Dropbox. And then, so we'll have pretty much the DPW put in sand, refresh it for the holiday week, prior to the holiday weekend. And with the raking of the beach, we, due to trash management and hazards on the beach, as long as there is a monitor that approves the raking, and make sure there's no plovers while they're raking, the town can move forward and rake in the section that Bob mentioned.
And Mass Audubon has been in contact and in dialogue with us and are on board, and it's part of their contract with the town. So
yeah, so I'm trying to figure out a schedule for them to line up with Mass Audubon and how to move forward with that.
okay. Questions from the members? Mary, any questions on this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm a little bit out of the loop on this one. I know the town has a beach management plan, correct? Is this not part of that activity?
It certainly is, but the concern was the beach cleaning and restoring the right of ways are permitted under the beach management plan. We wanted to be cautious just because it's during nesting season on how we were addressing this. And we actually had a meeting with Mass Fish and Wildlife and U.S. Fish and Wildlife on Monday. And it was one of the discussions, and this was kind of the simplest bulletproof way of doing it and using a monitor. So just kind of followed a collective guidance.
And how long has this condition been this way? Is this a recent thing? Or the reason I'm asking is because the emergency certificate requires that the work be done within like 24 hours or something.
30 days.
It's very
Yeah,
limited.
it's a 30 days is actually.
It's 30 days now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
By
Yeah.
what I'm familiar with the form that I filled out, it mentioned 30 days.
Okay,
Yeah.
yep, and we need some kind of town body to say that there is an emergency.
Yeah, the town DPW and police chief,
Okay.
provided, so,
Okay, so if the plover issue is okay, then, and you know, there's some oversight on the activities and they're using the appropriate material, and that would be the other thing, is making sure that the sand is the right compatible
Yep.
sand. I'm sure, Sean, you've looked into that as well. And do we
Yep,
know
so
what the profile is gonna look like, how much material they're gonna be putting in or anything? I mean, we probably should specify in the certificate what it's authorized up to, or some maximum volume.
Sean, why don't you
Yeah,
pull
yeah.
up one of the pictures? So Mary, basically what happens is we have a king tide in late spring, and it comes up and washes out the bottom 4 feet or so of
Yep.
a ramp. And they basically just restore it to its original profile at the same slope. And they using the minimum amount of material.
Mhm.
But right now, if you walk down one of the ramps, you've got about a 4.5, 5 foot drop at the where the scour line came on the king
Okay.
side.
Do we know if they're gonna be accessing from the water side or from the upland side with equipment, or how's that?
They've always done it from bringing it from the upland side, just grades down to the beach.
Mhm.
There's little or no work on the beach.
Okay.
It's usually done with a bobcat, so it's
Okay,
okay.
those
Thank
were my
you.
questions. Thank you.
Okay. Woody, any questions on this emergency certificate?
I had a couple questions. They just got answered. Thank you, Bob, and thank you, Sean.
Okay, thank you, Woody. Brad, any questions on this matter?
No, I think it is a standing effort, annual effort with the beach management plan, and I've seen the results of it many years, so I'm good with it.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Mick, any questions or comments on this matter?
No questions, Bob. I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mick. TJ, any questions?
Nothing further.
Diane, any questions on this matter?
No, thanks, Bob.
Okay, and I have no questions. All right, is there a motion to ratify the emergency certificate for the town of Newbury and its agents for the right-of-way restoration, medical waste removal from the beach?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, roll call. All in favor? Mary,
Yes,
TJ,
aye.
Woody,
Yes,
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. Thank you, Sean. Sean, you did a good job on this, getting everyone.
One second before we move forward, I just wanted to share my screen if that's okay, Chair.
Yeah, certainly.
Can you guys see the picture? Yeah, there we go.
See it every day.
Yep, so we are live meeting. There's that one. And in total, DPW, I think for the 3 accessway wants to bring in, I think, the maximum 20 tons. So it's a dump truck or triaxles worth of material.
Okay,
That's
thank
all.
you, Sean. All right, next matter is a certificate of compliance, DEP file number 0501144, 9 Basin Front Drive, house and walkway. Sean, can you provide an overview and a recommendation on this matter?
Is the owner present?
That's me. I'm James Waldron.
Okay.
James,
Would
if
you
you could
like
just
to-
give us your address and repeat your
Sure.
name for the record and give us a quick presentation, that'd be great.
Okay, my name is James Waldron. I am from 9 Basin Front Drive in Newbury. We've been here for a while, 20 years or so, I guess. The house was built 9 years ago, and we got a partial occupancy permit for the structure, and we never closed out the surrounding land. And so I'm trying to close that out just because it seems like it's time.
Okay. Sean, you've done a site visit on this, and what's your recommendation?
I did. Here are the pictures.
Yeah, if you could
So
just
to me, it looks
scroll through.
vegetated. It's actually really nice because it was just coming in. Everything's turning green. Over there. Yep.
We
I would say-
removed I forget the actual numbers, but it was probably 19 by 19 of cobblestone block kind of deck, or I guess you want to call it a patio area. And that's all been replaced with dune grass. In the front of the house, we had a 20 by 20 roughly area of green grass lawn that was replaced with dune grass and sand, which you saw in one of the photographs. And the plan called for stone walkway from the driveway back down to the stairs that go into the basin. And we have about half of it is actual stone and the rest of it is manufactured stone. Honestly, we ran out of money to put it all stone on the way back down there.
Okay, why don't I open this up? Anything further, Sean, before I open it up for questions from the members? Do you have a recommendation?
I don't
on
have
this,
any
Sean?
questions.
Do you have a
I think it's good.
Hey, questions from the members. Mary, any questions for Sean or for James Waldron?
Yes, so the property looks great, James. It looks like the grass came in very well. I'm confused though, because the files that we have, there's a certificate of compliance already issued in 2014.
It was issued for, it was a partial certificate of compliance, and it was for the structure itself, so we could get a occupancy permit.
Oh, okay, you explained that, and I missed the partial part. Okay,
It's okay.
thank you. That is why. That was my only question. Otherwise, it looks pretty good.
Okay,
Good.
thank you, Mary. Woody, any questions on this project?
No questions, Bob. It looks good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Woody. Brad, any question?
Oh, good, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Mick, any questions on this matter?
No questions. Looks good. Nice job, Mr. Waldron. Good job with the planning. Looks good.
Thank you.
All the rain we've had, James, doesn't hurt making stuff turn green, that's for sure.
Well, I have to say the dune grass is doing exceptionally well. It's sprouting up it's almost knee high.
Yeah, well, that's great. TJ, any questions on this project?
Nothing further, no.
Diane, any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Diane. And Bob Connors has no questions. Sean, any follow-up on your part?
I have no hands raised.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 9 Basin Front Drive.
So moved. Second,
Okay. All right, roll call, all in favor, Mary,
Yes,
TJ,
aye.
Woody,
Yes,
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors vote yes. Okay, thank you, James.
Thank you
Okay,
very much, everyone.
Next matter is a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 0501396, Old Town Hill. This is the trustees of reservation for the wildlife viewing platform. Sean, can you provide an overview and a recommendation on this matter?
Yeah, so is the applicant here?
I
If
am.
not, I can. Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey, Josh.
Hi, Bob.
Josh, why don't you just identify yourself, give us an address, and then give us your status update on this, if you would.
Okay, my name is Josh Hassenfuss, and I am a project manager for the trustees. Project location is Newman Road in Old Town Hill Reservation.
Okay,
So,
Sure.
I think the commission will remember this project. This was a wildlife viewing platform at the edge of the marsh. Project has been completed and I have visited with Sean and we've taken a look. We think the project came out beautiful and, our engineer was out and provided a letter of completion and, compliance within the site plan. So we're asking for a certificate of completion if we could.
Yeah, no, looking through the file, Josh, it came out nice, looks great, blends in. Nice job. All right, why don't I open this up to questions from the members? Mary, any questions for Josh on this one?
No, I'll have to abstain from discussion on this one. The trustees are a client of
Gotcha.
mine. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Woody, any questions for Josh on this matter?
No questions, Bob. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's a complete filing. Brad, any questions on this one?
All good, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Mick, any questions?
No questions, Bob. Thank you.
Okay, TJ, any questions?
All set here.
Diane, any questions?
No, the pictures were great. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it looks great. Great vista too. And I have no questions. Sean, any raised hands from the public at this time? I
Not
don't.
that I see.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for Old Town Hill Wildlife Viewing Platform.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, roll call, all in favor? TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Yes,
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
Aye.
Diane,
yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. Sean, for the record, make sure that you show that Mary abstained in the vote, so there'd be yeah, just make sure you,
Six.
that way there it keeps it accurate. Okay, next order of business is a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 0501344, 14 Plum Island Boulevard, Sunset Club. I thought I saw Vince Gooden.
It would
and-
be Matthew, Matt, yeah, he has his hand raised.
Okay. Matt, why don't you identify yourself and give us the status of where we're at on this?
Absolutely. Good evening. My name is Matt Steinel from Millennium Engineering. I'm here tonight with the owners of the property, Vincent Godin, who is also on the line, to request a certificate of compliance for some work that was permitted in under an order of conditions issued by this commission from back in April of 2021. So this particular order of conditions literally just expired last month. So we came right to the end of it. We're putting in the request for the COC and we were outperforming the survey and getting ready to be filing for a new permit. And the owners put together the old as-built that they had and submitted the application. And then they reached out to us to have us write the letter, which we're unable to get to you guys way in advance like we like, but we did submit that this morning. And I hope the commission has had a chance to review it. Essentially what we found, we went out and did the site visit and took our photographs and started performing our own survey, was that the site is in general in substantial compliance with the original plan. If you recall the site, it was an old gas station. It had a garage on it. It had a residence on it. It was a hodgepodge of buildings, lots of paved areas, and it was kind of a mess at that time. And what they came in with was a plan to knock down a couple of the buildings, to remove a lot of the pavement, to put in gravel surfaces, sitting areas for a restaurant style setting, and lighting and plants and fencing and things like that. We do have the as-built plan that was actually produced by DCI. That was part of the submittal that hopefully you've seen. And we compared that plan that DCI had done for the permitting with their as-built plan and produced the list that we submitted today. A lot of the stuff that I found that was not, per plan is not substantially out of the realm of being close to being in conformance. There is a large list here, but they're all relatively minor. For instance, the first item, there's 2 sections of fencing that are solid wall fencing. They're not 50% open. They're like 6-foot long or 10-foot long sections of fence, 2 pieces. It's easy enough to remove every other wooden slat and make it comply. So again, relatively minor, but needs to be addressed. There's a mobile merch shed. It's basically a storage container that was dropped on the site. It has a window and a door, and it's essentially a merchandise, booth. And that is going to be part of a new filing. So although unpermitted, we will be filing it as part of the new permit to get that approved. So we pointed it out here. There's 2 bioretention rain garden areas. One of them was removed as a result of the water department during construction. The water department forced the applicant to put in a storage tank there, and it wiped out the location for the rain garden there. And then there's another one over on the corner between Plum Island Boulevard and the corner of Old Point Road. And there's one there that's slightly smaller than what was originally intended. Having said that, this is a completely gravel sand site. There hasn't been any flooding issues here. The water that's being dispersed from this site that would have gone into those rain garden areas are being satisfactorily soaked up by the surrounding sand and gravels. A couple of other things that lend towards why that rain garden may not necessarily be needed any longer is if you look down a little further on the list, you'll see that there was a concrete apron in front of the building that was intended to be left in, and that was replaced with a wooden deck. So there's substantially more concrete removed than was originally approved, and as a result, we have more pervious surfaces on the site to handle that runoff from the roof of the what was existing buildings at that time. There's various landscape areas that are slightly shaped different, and I suspect they were constructed correctly at the time. And with the movement of sand and things like that, they look a little different now. And again, for the most part, relatively minor stuff. I don't know if you want me to hit every one of these, but it had been discussed with the applicant that the commission, given the length of the list and the number of items, might actually benefit from performing a site walk. So he was open to the idea of potentially continuing tonight's hearing and scheduling a site walk and giving the commissioners an opportunity to take a look at it if that's something you're interested in doing. And happy to answer any questions, but for the most part, I think the list spells out, the deviations that we noted.
Okay, thank you, Matt. So Matt, where are you at on, obviously there's been some changes to the site. Where are you at on ZBA? Were the changes substantial enough to require the ZBA to review and approve the changes?
So I think that's part of what we're doing with the new permit, and Vincent, again, he's on the line. He can likely
Yeah,
speak to what
I can
he's had
address
for
the
meetings.
ZBA. So our intention is to go in for
Hey, Vince, if you could before you start.
yes.
Just name, address.
Sorry about that. Vincent
Right,
Godin.
serial number.
I'm one of the owners of the property. Address is 800 Elderberry, Boca Raton, Florida, or 28 Harvard Way on the island. So we went in for a change to the original approved plan with the ZBA that added in the merchandise shed that was addressed, that Matt addressed, as well as a couple of other changes that we would like to do to the property, including construction of a pavilion on the corner, and that's going to be part of the new OOC that we're going to be submitting for in hopefully the next couple of weeks. And so the ZBA did approve that back a few months ago. I think it was in February, and approved the changes and including the merchandise shed on there and a few other changes that'll be on the application.
Okay, where do you stand, Vince, with the planning board, and certainly where do you stand on the stormwater?
Yep. So with the planning board, we met with Martha, Sean, and Peter back in April, kind of did a pre-app meeting discussing the changes and everything that we were planning on doing, and Martha provided us with a number of things that the planning board would be looking for, including the stormwater, and that is something that Matt and his team are in the process of finalizing, so that we can submit that application as well for the changes that we're looking to make.
Okay. Vince, during construction, did you have any changes to your property required by any of the oversight boards or inspectors?
Yeah, so the rain garden, as Matt alluded to, that was originally getting built just west of the property, was built, but then we were informed that DPS wanted a buffer tank on as part of the property, and said it had to be where the water goes out to the street, and that of course is the pipe that goes right under where the rain garden was. So we had to redig all that up and put that in there, along with I believe there's a grease trap they required right before it as well. And then the propane tanks that were going to be located in that area had to be moved as well, and so we moved them closer to the kitchen container, and so that we would have a closer run. And as a result of that, when discussions with the fire department, they required us to have some sort of a solid structure to put it in order to protect it from vehicles or motorcycles or something running into it. And then there was a raised seating area that we had originally proposed in the plans, but back when we were discussing it, we weren't sure if we were actually going to build it, and that was part of our discussion. So when we decided not to raise that section of the seating, it kind of removed the requirement for some bushes that were going to get planted along the slope to kind of keep the sand in place. So none of that was really built, including the retaining wall that was going to get built around it. Instead, we just kept it all level, and then there was a bocce court that had been put on that we've already removed. So
Okay.
overall, and then there was some landscaping that our landscaper along the west side said the grasses that you plant there aren't going to survive, and just told us it wasn't worth planting some along that stretch, which had been something I had been looking for because I own the properties to the north and just thought it would be nice to have extra buffer. But it turns out the fence actually does a real nice job of creating that buffer.
All right, Vince, why don't I hold you there and I'll open this up for questions. I think Matt mentioned that a site visit, it sounds like that makes sense to me to.
Yeah, I think that'll be the
on the
best
site
way
visit.
for people to see.
Okay. All right, let me open this up to questions from the members. Mary, any questions at this point? Certainly, I think the site visit makes sense.
Yeah, well, I think in some ways the site visit is premature because there's activity that needs to happen to get the site into compliance, and they don't have an order of conditions to do it, and they need to file a new order of conditions for some of the after the fact work that's been done. So we can't really issue a certificate of compliance until we have an approval for the after the fact stuff that's been done without our permission. So that procedurally, I think we could do a site visit, but I think it might be worthwhile to do the site visit after they file the notice of intent, and include in the notice of intent both what they want to do in the future and the after the fact structures that are there now without that having received approval. And I also note in the order of conditions that the kitchen was supposed to be movable, and in the event of a storm, or because it's in the floodplain and it didn't technically meet dune standards, and I just had a question as to whether or not that is still considered a movable kitchen.
It was designed in order to be able to be moved. We have not needed to. It has not, even in the flooding this last winter, that was probably the highest I've seen. No water came into the structure, and it wasn't required for us to do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and the other concern is that, meeting the flood zone, the FEMA flood zone requirements, building code requirements for structures that are at grade right now. So I'll pass on to the other members for their comments, but I'm not prepared to obviously issue an order of conditions at this time.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Woody, any comments for Vince or Matt on this
No.
matter?
The water tank that was installed in the rain garden area, that's wastewater or freshwater?
That's for sewer.
Okay, and
wanted-
it's underground?
It's underground. They wanted something that would absorb. I guess they were concerned that if everything was running at once, it might be too much for the vacuum system to handle. So they wanted a tank that can kind of absorb it and displace it into the main system at a slower pace.
Okay, thank you for answering the question, and I don't have any other questions at this time. Thanks, Bob.
Okay, thank you, Woody. Brad, any questions for Vince or Matt on this?
Less questions for Vince, more comment. I agree with Mary. This is, for me, it would be a vote of non-compliance because there's been more changes than the actual original plan was put in for. So I agree with Mary that there needs to be a notice of intent applied for or given to us first to note all the changes you made to the original plan, and then secondly, to the new pavilion and other changes that you want to make. I also think that I'd like to hear from the other boards. I don't know, Mr. Chair, whether or not we've seen anything from Planning Board, Board of Health, ZBA as to their comments on this. I am concerned with the additional structures that were put on the site that were not originally called for, and now we're looking to put a so-called pavilion on the site. And as Mary said, this is in a floodplain, and that whole corner of the island does see substantial flooding. As I recall, I don't even know if the granite curb was part of the original plan that went around the perimeter of it.
Yes, that was always included on there.
Okay,
Those would be my comments, Mr. Chair.
thank you, Brad. Mick, comments on this matter?
I agree with Mary and Brad, based on work done outside of the initial order of conditions without approval or without consulting. That needs to be seen, so it needs a new notice of intent. So I agree on that point. Just a couple of questions. So Vince, was that tank you spoke of, the holding tank that they asked you to put that in? It's a detention tank or a holding tank? Sounds like a detention tank or an overflow tank.
They call it a buffer tank, so it essentially slows down if let's just say they calculate everything based off of the number of seats. So even though we had a number of our bathrooms, as an example, that end up being porta potties, and it doesn't necessarily generate as much water as a typical 150 seat restaurant, they kind of run their calculations on the assumption of the number of fixtures that would be in a 150 person restaurant. And based on, if everything was open and going at once, there was concern that it would inundate the system at one time, which could cause potential issues. So it essentially absorbs it and just lets it release at a slower pace.
So what is the construction of that tank? Is it in a vault? Is it a dual wall tank?
Yeah, it's they had provided us the company that actually had done the entire system, the vacuum system, and put us in touch with them, and they were the ones that kind of gave us the specs of what needed to be put in there, and it's essentially a large concrete vault.
And the tank sits inside that? It's a separate tank inside that vault, or?
No, the tank is in that concrete structure.
Yeah, that's more like a septic tank, Matt. That's
Yeah, it sounds like, yeah. And the grease trap is prior to that, right?
Correct.
Okay. And grease trap is separate access for clean out and pumping, I would think, right?
Yep.
Okay. As just to back up, just for my own interest, You, or your contractors raised the former, fuel station, gas station, service station?
Correct.
Okay, was there any impacts noted from that? Any previous, like, I'm just thinking, either oil, soil, into the soil and groundwater, or gasoline from previous operations there? Was there any
Yeah.
impacts noted?
When they had removed their tanks over the years, they had gone in and gotten all the proper documentation and testing done to remove. I know there was testing done subsequent over the years. I think the last time was in 2005 or 6. Somebody had up the island had some found something in, a mile away in their soils and thought it might be from the old gas station, and they retested and there was no issues in the area.
Okay, so there's no open DEP file on that?
No.
On that gas station? Okay, all right, no, those are my questions. Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Okay, Matt, I
Thanks,
see you
Vince.
have your hand raised. Why don't you had something you wanted to add to the discussion?
Yes, actually, I wanted to share my screen really quick so the commission could see and perhaps recall what they were looking at for site conditions prior to the development work being done. Again, what I want to emphasize is there are a lot of changes that we did point out, and we do recognize that some of these things may need to be addressed as part of the new notice of intent. That was kind of our hope in doing the site walk, that we could kind of look at the list that we have and determine what needed to be addressed and what would actually have been approvable had it been on the plan originally. For example, I pointed out that there are lacking plants along this fence line down here along McLeod Avenue. As the owner has said, those were not requirements of the commission at the time. Those were things he put on the plan because he wanted to provide a buffer. This was a site that was essentially, a lot of paved areas, a lot of structures, things that were taken down. You can see there was 2 large structures here. So for the applicant to have put back a couple of storage containers, the number of structures, square footage of them is substantially lower than what was there before. So although, again, we think certain things definitely don't comply with the regulations, things like the 50% open fence, things like the wall around the propane tank that will have to be addressed. I do think there are a number of items here that could be looked at and said, it's still substantially better than what was there prior to development, and had it been shown that way originally on the plans, would it have complied and doesn't need to be addressed? And that's, we don't expect the commission to issue a certificate of compliance on this until we file the new notice. That's for sure. We just wanted to try to nail down those things that definitely needed to be dealt with as part of the new permit in order to make the commission feel good about closing this one out.
Okay, thank you, Matt. I think, Matt, the big thing is if the order was still in force, some of these items outside of the pavilion could have probably been addressed as a minor amendment, depending on the scope of it. All right, let me continue on with the rest of the members for questions. Anything else, Matt, before I continue on?
No, that was it. That was it.
Okay, TJ, any questions for Matt or Vince on this matter?
No questions, just a comment that I do agree that the new use of the facility of the property is much better than it was before. But it sounds like we're going to get a new NOI anyways and an opportunity to walk the site. So I'll reserve further comments and questions for that time.
Okay, thank you, TJ. Diane, what are your thoughts and comments on this matter?
Now, my comment would just be that I had difficult time looking at the revised plan and the as-built plan and figuring out what happened. So I was definitely in favor of a site visit. So I think that'll be happening. Yeah, it's hard to tell just without feet on the ground to see what actually happened. So I guess we'll move forward.
So team, I think the question is, certainly to address the changes and to consider work to be done, the notice of a new notice of intent is certainly in order. I think from a procedural standpoint, they're not asking for a certificate of compliance tonight. I think what they're looking for is some guidance of what is gonna be required to be put on the new notice of intent? And then how do we close out the existing order? I think that's just a procedural question that I'm thinking about. So it seems that you're going to file a new notice of intent. You're going to incorporate proposed changes and deviations from the original permit. Is that what I'm hearing, Matt and Vince?
Yes, absolutely. We want to include the stuff that we are proposing to perform, as well as anything that's necessary to add to the thing to bring it into compliance with the old one as well. Hopefully move forward with that public hearing, get that approved, and then at that time, once we have those items on the plan and we have an order of conditions issued for that, then we can close out the old one, because the items that will be required to address that will be on the new permit.
Okay,
Did-
so
Can I make a
yes, Mary,
procedural
go ahead. I was
question?
just going to circle back to you.
Thank you. And I may be the only one that was on the board at the time this was approved, and there was quite a lot of interest in this project, and there was a lot of discussion about lot coverage. And yeah, it's certainly, you know, more open than it was under the gas station, but this was carefully and, you know, over many meetings, over multiple boards, you know, discussed in terms of what was going to be allowed out there and what the extent of alteration, because it's still considered a coastal dune. So there's that. Also, I just want to point out that a new notice of intent that's proposing new work, as well as work that has to close out an old order of conditions, it may not be the way to go, because in theory, the commission could deny your new work proposed, but the old work still needs to happen. You still need to get that done and get an order of conditions and get the work done to close out the original certificate of compliance request. So the old order. So you might want to consider splitting up and creating two separate notices, because one is voluntary and you want to do new work. One is going to be required and could be required as part of an enforcement order to get the site into compliance with the original approved project. So just want to throw that out there as well.
So Mary, are you thinking that I'm going to call it a friendly enforcement order to address the remaining work to get this back into compliance?
That's one option. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So it seems, Mary, that I would like to do a site visit. You know what? Again, your empirical knowledge in this is being on the board back then. I think there may be some benefit to doing a site visit, and being able.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and ascertain what the next step is. Is an enforcement order way to close out the original certificate and giving them some ability to finish that work, or to?
Yeah, it only can address violations, the enforcement order, right? So it can't permit work that occurred, that, you know, structures that they want to keep in place. That's the problem with, you know, it can require their removal, but it can't, an enforcement order can't be used to, after the fact, permit structures.
A question for Vince or for Matt. On the merchandise shed, how did the building department handle that? Did they handle that it requires a permit, or is it a temporary structure?
Well, it's a temporary structure that was dropped on there, and the folks at Sunset Club did not get a building permit, and nor would it, I believe, even apply for a building permit, because it's essentially just a shipping container that's put on the site. So, you know, I think as far as the enforcement order, I think there's there's a good bit of the items that are on the list that are really not things that we're looking to put back. Like, we don't want to put back the concrete that we took out, that we said we were going to keep. You know, there's a number of items that we think that the board would be fine with having on there, and then there's some new other items that we think we would like to try and address, and see if we can allow them to stay. So I'm not quite sure how best to address that.
Well, I think the wisdom of a site visit will add some clarity to what was proposed, what's been completed, and what remains to be completed. To close out the original order. And then certainly the new order, the new filing will be standalone. All right, I'm gonna go through everyone one more time. Brad, I see you have your hand up. What are your thoughts, Brad?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I agree with Mary in partial that these are two separate items. I think that rather than an enforcement order, a better way to do this is have the applicant file an addendum to their original order of conditions or their original permit that we issued to them, requesting approval for the things that they've already done. Thus, we can say yes or no to help them close out their original permit and then file a notice of intent for their separate new items that they planned or would like to put on there. I think that makes it cleaner. I think it answers the mail when it comes to Mary saying that we could, in theory, deny the notice of intent for the future work, but would still leave their certificate of compliance in limbo. And at that point, the only way to address that would then be through an enforcement order of the fact that they put items on the plan or on the site that were not originally on the plan. I do believe that that is the cleaner way to do it.
It would be, Brad, if the order of conditions was still in force, but it's expired. That's the rub. So we can't consider an amendment or a modification because the original order of conditions has
Have expired?
Yeah, that's the,
I wasn't aware that they had expired. Okay.
yeah. They would, I think that would have been the cleaner way, certainly, would have been the way to address it. Okay, any other comments, Brad, before I just circle back with everybody?
No, I agree with the applicant that the overall site has less pervious structures on it than the previous site did, but I do think that procedurally we got a little bit of a quagmire here.
Yeah, I think we can figure it out at some point. Okay, thank you, Brad. Mick, any other comments?
I think Mick's on mute.
Yep.
Okay.
No further questions, Bob. Thank you.
Okay, Woody, any further comments or questions?
No, not at this time, other than a sidewalk is in order.
Okay, TJ, how about yourself? Any other questions?
Nothing further.
Okay, Diane, any questions?
Nothing new, thank you.
Yeah, the only thing I would say, I'd like to schedule a site meeting for next week, midweek, certainly just for my own benefit to kind of get up to speed and dig into this. What are your thoughts? Is anyone interested in a site inspection?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I am too, Mr. Chair, but I would like to see a more definitive original plan with overlaid with the work that was done, and then a third plan that shows the proposed work.
Okay,
So that we can actually have paper walking or digital copy, either or, to be able to walk the site and make those comparisons. Was difficult to ascertain, I think, as Commissioner O'Brien suggested, that to look at the work done versus work planned.
okay. How does next Wednesday, just being the holiday weekend, don't see, I can't do anything this week, and Monday's the holiday. Does Wednesday at 8 o'clock is a
good for me.
starting point?
So
Mary, does that?
just to, can I clarify something with the commissioners for meeting minutes? So we are currently not accepting the new planned work. This is to close the existing expired order of
We're not
conditions.
we're not taking any particular action or vote tonight other than it's been a discussion, Sean. The only thing that we're considering now is a site visit and a continuance to the next meeting after that site visit.
Okay.
We haven't made any determinations or findings tonight. Mary, does next Wednesday work for you? You're familiar with the site anyway, but,
Yeah, no, that works. Yep.
okay. Mick, how about you? Is Wednesday good? Woody, so you okay with that?
Yes,
Sometime
thank you.
when-
Diane, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I can be.
Okay. All right, so team, let's schedule a site visit for the Sunset Club for next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. And what is the date of that? Just
29th.
29th.
29.
29th. And why don't we continue this matter to the June 4th meeting? Now, where it's a COC and not a public hearing, it really doesn't require a vote, but I think if we put this on the agenda for our June 4th meeting, we can do a follow-up of the results of a site visit. All right, thank you, Vince. Thank you, Matt. I think you've got an idea of how the commission is thinking. I think it would be important to be able to make a good presentation at the site visit of what has been changed in the significance or the minor nature of it.
Absolutely. So it's next Wednesday, 8 a.m. I'll
Yes,
be
at the
there.
site.
Oh.
Okay,
I'll have the plans so we can lay them out and take a look at them, and we can go through anything that is on my list or anything else the commission sees.
okay. And Sean, just if you can have the complete file with us for that site visit, that'd be great. All right, thank you. Next order of
Thank you.
business is an enforcement order 105 Northern Boulevard for unpermitted yard work. Drove by the property, they removed the base material for the driveway and the fabric. And we gave them 60 days to submit a restoration and planting plan. So, Sean, we'll just kick this down to, let's just put it on the
So,
agenda for June 4th.
I have it on there, so it would be 60 days from the enforcement order, so that would be July 16th.
But again, just for status, let's just put it on June 4th.
Okay.
Okay, and we can certainly continue it. Okay, next order of business is enforcement order, DEP file number 0501243. Very interesting. Newbury Golf Center buffer zone mitigation plan. Team, if you recall, we did a site visit recently. I see Eric is on the line. And we were looking at this with the planning board, with the peer review engineer. But the matter before us tonight is the status of the enforcement order. As I recall, the result of our walkthrough, there was one minor area of erosion that Eric was going to reseed. And Sean, you were going to check and see if it was starting to revegetate.
Yep. So if either
So Eric, why don't you do this? Why don't you give us where you are in that one area
Sure.
of erosion?
So we took Mary's advice, put crushed stone, put material down, put loom down, seeded it, and hayed. Sean was out here today. I believe he took some pictures. I don't know if he shared them.
do you want me to share them?
That'd be great, Sean, if you could. It'd be helpful.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Okay, questions from the members? Mary, questions on this matter?
No, that's what we were looking for. Is that a hole there at the bottom?
So that is that's underneath that they use.
Oh, you're just showing the loam
um,
that they put down?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so this is to release the enforcement order? Yeah. Okay.
Correct. The only thing would be out to close the enforcement order tonight if we deem that.
Yeah, it might be a
Okay.
little thick, heavy on the straw, just, I don't know if the seed will come up through that, but just keep an eye on that, Eric, that
We will.
actually get growth underneath that, because sometimes it just suffocates it.
I'll check. And my guys did it. I was away for, I will double check it to make sure.
Yeah, they sometimes just go a little too heavy on the straw. I'm fine though, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Woody, any questions for Eric on this one?
No, I don't. Thank
Okay.
you.
Brad, any questions for Eric?
No, it looks good. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, TJ, any questions?
All set. Thank you.
I just want to make a notation. TJ was the best dressed conservation agent.
I knew you were gonna say something.
But a three-piece suit was a little overboard, Mr. Commissioner.
I
Mick,
must have missed a memo on that.
I know, Mick, the dress code.
I came in steel toes, so.
Best foot forward all the time.
Mick, any questions?
No, no questions. Looks good, Eric. Thanks for jumping on it.
Okay. Diane, any questions on this one?
No.
Okay, I have no questions. All right. Is there a motion? I'll entertain a motion to close the enforcement order for the Newbury Golf Center as
So moved.
presented. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, all in favor, Mary,
Yes,
TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Yes,
Mick,
Hi,
Brad,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
One
So-
down, one to go, Eric.
So where does that leave us with the next step? With,
So we're waiting for Joe Soroka was on site, and he was going to review the order of conditions, the as-built, and then make a recommendation via a memo to the board to consider
Okay.
for your certificate of compliance.
I did get you requested a summary from my engineer, so I did get that to Sean late this afternoon. So you do have that.
Okay. Sean, if you can make sure that Joe Soroka gets that for his review.
Okay. As far as I know, we received a letter from Joe Soroka recently because we found the plans that were used, the proposed mitigation. It's in the Dropbox, the letter.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
just
you know
going
what,
to read
that's not before us tonight. So
Okay.
let's do this.
Oh, okay.
You know, with the only thing before
for
us
the
was the enforcement order.
All right.
Let's do a review of the file and see where Joe says we're at, and then we can schedule accordingly the next step. Okay,
Okay.
Eric, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, we have a request for determination of applicability, our file number 444, 20 Jackson Way Landscaping. Sean, can you provide an overview, and then if the applicant is present to give us the presentation?
Yeah, so first I'll start with, is the applicant here?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. All right. Do you want to, or I can?
I can kick it off. I got my deck and everything.
Okay, well,
Okay.
why don't you just give us your name, address, and then give us your presentation.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Angela Anderson. My address is 20 Jackson Way in Newbury on Plum Island. Just by means of introduction, we moved in about 8 months ago to the island. I am a National Parks Pass holder and Mass Audubon member for many years. These are the topics that I laid out in my presentation, like to just take a look at the existing garden from the prior owner, container gardening, the front yard, and then some plans for the deck and porch. Okay, so for the existing garden areas, the prior owner who owned this house for about 30 years had several beds throughout the lot. I'm learning about the plants as they're all coming up this spring, and I'd like to continue to maintain them. Also like to do just your average yard maintenance, raking, picking up debris from storms in the winter, and taking them away if that's appropriate, or using my compost to dump them. As far as container garden is concerned, just looking to have some herbs and veggies. keeping the spirit of what the prior owner did. There's a picture previously, so you can see that she had lots of plants. She had a green thumb. For the front yard, which actually abuts Sunset Drive, it's pretty steeply sloped and vegetated. I'd like to do some upkeep here. I'm on the list to get training with the Parker River Wildlife Refuge biologists to learn how to identify and pull the perennial pepperweed. And I've picked a handful of plants that I think will work well there. So I put them on the next slide. And these are all on the state's website as natives for this area and region and the type of soil/sand that we have, I'm pretty sure. And then as it comes to the deck and the porch, we've got a little bit of a janky umbrella out there. I'd like to replace the umbrella with a retractable awning that attaches to the overhang, and that'll just come out and cover the deck. It'll actually be shorter than the current umbrella is when it's extended, and it comes in obviously during wind and rain, so it's safe and secure. And then finally, the screen porch, misplaced some of the screens, the door, and you can see in my picture that it's a little bit of a shape. And so I'd like to be able to replace the screens and either replace or repair the lattice. And on these last two items, I am in touch with the building department. I'll pull a permit, of course, if that is their advice.
Okay, anything else? All right, let me open this up to questions. Mary, questions for?
This all looks wonderful. Thank you for, taking good care of the property and using native plants. And I think this is great. I don't have any objection to the awning, the raised beds, just, I just would say to make sure that they're not put in areas where there's dune grass or native vegetation, so that we don't interfere with any of that. And staying within the footprint of the existing, gardening that was done previously on the site. I totally encourage removal of the invasives, and the planting plan that you've proposed is totally appropriate. So great job, and look forward to seeing it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mary. TJ, any questions for Angela on this?
No questions. Wonderful plan.
Thank you.
Okay. Woody, any questions?
No questions. Thank you for the presentation. It was great and nice plan. Thank you.
Brad, any questions on this matter?
No, second the previous commissioner's comments. Thank you.
Okay. Mick, any questions on this matter?
Quick, again, agree with everybody else. Great plan, great presentation. Looks good going forward. Is there any change in impervious versus permeable areas? Are you not adding any impervious areas?
No, we'll do plants here on the front dune.
Okay. All right. No, that was my only question. So no pavers, walkways, things like that.
No changes.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. Nice job.
Thank you, Mick. Diane, any questions for Angela on this one?
No.
Okay.
Great plan.
I have no questions. Sean, any raised hands from the public? Okay, hearing none.
Sorry,
I'll
no raised hands from the public, and it looked like a very good presentation.
Okay, thank you, Sean. All right, I'll entertain a motion to issue a negative finding for 20 Jackson Way.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, Mary,
Yes.
TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Yes.
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
All right.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. Okay, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, next matter is a request for determination. Our file number 4458 Melody Lane, installation of a permanent whole home 18 kV generator with ATS switch. John, can you provide an overview on this and a recommendation?
Excuse me, Bob, just, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I need to hop off. briefly, and I
Okay.
will try to get back on as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you, Mary. So Sean, do you have a recommendation or a review on this one?
Sure, I can share that. We have 1 second. I'm going to pull this up on the screen. Is the homeowner here?
Yes, I see them.
Yes, we are here.
Do you want to present, or?
Well, why don't you pull up what you have in the screen and then
Okay.
we can discuss it.
Okay.
I think we need high-speed internet over at town hall, Sean.
So, this is what I have. This is a drawing of the area or the house that's proposed. They want us to put a generator in this area here. And that's what I have for the plans here.
Do you have a picture? Do you have a
I-
picture of the location, Sean? I'm just curious.
I have a mapped picture, so a picture from FEMA flood map.
Okay.
And I will share that right now.
That's funny.
So the generator is going here.
Yeah, okay, that doesn't really help us, Sean. Do we
Yeah.
have any,
So
Peter, do you have any pictures of the yard where the generator is going to go?
You know, it's the one thing I didn't pull up for the presentation tonight. I apologize.
All right, why don't I do this? Peter, why don't you make your presentation
Sure.
and then I'll open it up to questions.
Sure. As Sean said, we're requesting permission to put in this generator. It's a Kohler. It's actually a 20,000 watt generator. Let's see, they either make a 20 or a 10. Place it in the position that Sean described in front of a main bedroom. In the apartment, it's on sand. The proposal is to put it up on the appropriately positioned wooden stand, 6x6 treated lumber, just because of the floodplain issues. It's an identical unit that's going into our house that went in across the street at 9 Melody Lane. And Jim DeVoe will be installing this. He's got a lot of experience doing this. There'll be a trench running from the generator back to a propane tank to run a gas line, and then a trench to run the electrical issues into the house. So it's a nice position to minimize the amount of trenching that's needed. And that's pretty much it.
Okay. Where the trenches are going, Peter, what do you have for vegetation now? Is it just sand or is it pea stone, or what vegetation might be impacted with your trenching?
Right. So the trenching, actually, let me just show a quick picture here you can actually see it here. And this is actually I apologize for putting
I think you have to share.
It is a cover over this, but the trench will run under the main bedroom, which is up on stilts. So it's pure sand underneath. The electrical conduit will also run to the house a short distance, and there's nothing there. There's no vegetation in the way of that particular trench. So we're not going to disrupt any shrubs or beach grass or anything to put this in.
Okay. So I think the big thing in the past, Peter, what we've done is we've made the recommendation. Certainly whatever work you're going to perform needs to be in compliance with other applicable local and state permitting and codes. Our recommendation is that you have a base platform for the generator at 2 feet above floodplain. That seems to be the, you need to determine what your base flood elevation is, what your yard elevation is. And what that does is the worst day on Plum Island and you have no power, your generator is running properly and you're having air conditioning and cable TV.
Exactly.
And your generator's not underwater. But I'm familiar with your area anyway, and you're not, you're gonna be okay there. Let me open this up to questions from the members. TJ, any questions on this one for you?
Nope,
No
as long as
no
it's up over 2
vegetation.
feet. Yep,
Yep.
no, I'm good.
Okay. Woody, any questions on this one?
No questions, straightforward. Thank you for your explanation.
Okay, thank you. Brad, any questions?
Looks great, thank you.
Mick, any questions?
Mr. Dean, the location of the propane tanks, so that's existing, right? Those are existing tanks. So we're not changing that out. Okay, yeah, that was it. No, looks good. Thank you, Bob.
Excuse me as I try to get a spoonful of soup here. Diane, any questions? Apologize.
No.
Okay, I have no questions. Sean, any raised hands from the public?
No raised hands.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to issue a negative finding for 8 Melody Lane.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Yes,
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
Aye.
Diane.
Yes.
Okay, and Bob Connors votes yes. Peter, all I would suggest is coordinate when you start with the agent. That way there, you know what, it'll be seamless, and good luck and enjoy your new generator.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A quick shout out to Sean to say thank you for all the guidance and clarity that he gave us for putting this all together. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
No, Sean does a very good job for
You're
us.
welcome.
Okay, next order of business is a request for determination, our file number 446-14 Columbia Way, Mark Woods, installation of a permanent generator. Something tells me we're all concerned with the status of the grid in our area. Is Mark on the phone? Is Mark on the call? Sean, do you want to give us a quick overview and a recommendation on this?
I think he was here earlier, but sure, I can see what I have.
I mean, you know, the drill
14.
is, yeah, this is 14 Columbia. Certainly the drill for us is distance from the propane tank, pad elevation, and trenching and impacts on vegetation.
So actually, I think this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is the property that they came in for an after the fact RDA, replacing the generator that's in the application on level ground while they're in a flood zone without an RDA on Plum Island.
Okay, the Columbia Way 14, if I'm not mistaken, is probably about 8 feet above the roadway.
Mm-hmm.
So although it's in a floodplain, they're
just coming in for an
elevation.
after the fact RDA.
Okay, so the generator's already been installed.
Yes, it's already there. It's sitting on the ground on the ground.
You did a site inspection on this?
I did.
Okay. So am I correct though? The yard elevation is substantially higher than the street?
This is Margaret. I'm sorry, it took me forever to unmute.
Okay, Margaret.
Okay.
Margaret, if you just give us your name and address.
Yep.
And then give us your presentation, that'd be great.
Sure. My name is Margaret Thomas. I'm at 14 Columbia Way, Newbury, Mass. And Sean is correct. It was an after the fact. I didn't know I needed to do this. The generator was installed by Cason Equipment. And it actually, when Sean saw it, it was on the ground. It is now up on the platform 2 feet high. And the legs of the platform are sunk about 4 to 6 feet down below. In terms of trenching, there wasn't any that was needed. We ran it as a conduit along the side of the house, on the house, so it's attached to the house. And it's a propane generator, so the propane tanks are on the same side of the house, but much further up. And we just ran off the propane line that's attached to the house.
Okay, and it's all been permitted and inspected by the electrical department, Margaret?
I think that's what we're waiting for with this, and then we can go ahead and finish all of that.
Okay. All right, well, why don't you hang on? Let me see if there's any questions from the
Sure.
members. TJ, any questions for Margaret on this?
Not for Margaret, but Sean, have you gone by and seen the generators up on a platform?
I have not seen if it was up on a platform. Am I on mute?
Nope,
No.
nope, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, so I have not seen if it was up on a platform. I did notice it on the ground. If it's up on a platform, great. Thank you very
It is.
much.
Yep.
Did you have any other
we
concerns
can
other than it
probably
being
do
up
that. I
on a
can-
platform?
In that area, I do not.
Okay. I'm good, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, TJ. Woody, any questions for Margaret or Sean on this one?
The fact that it's on a platform is good, and everything else sounds straightforward. Thank you for your explanation, Margaret.
Okay.
And no other questions.
Okay. Brad, any questions on this one?
Oh, good, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, Mick, how about yourself? Any questions?
No questions, Bob. Thank you. Thank you, Margaret.
Okay, thank you, Mick. Diane, any questions for Margaret or Sean on this one?
No?
Okay, I don't have any questions. Team, what I'm gonna suggest is that we consider issuing a negative finding with one condition that, and it's already been met, that the generator be elevated on a platform.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to issue a negative finding with that one condition.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Yes.
Brad,
Aye.
Mick.
Aye.
Diane,
Yeah.
and Bob Connors vote yes. Good luck, Margaret. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
We have
Thank
another RDA. It's our file number 441, 17 Harvard Way, installation of a home generator with a automatic transfer switch. Sean, you had a chance to talk to the owner on this, and why don't you give us a quick overview? Then we'll see if the owner has anything to add. You seem to have a good plan on this one.
Yeah, so I spoke to the homeowner. Where I would stand on this would be, we have met them in the past. Which just kind of, we need to give them a determination for this. If they have a good recommendation for this would be if they stay 2 feet above BFE and notify the agent what their plan is for trenching. When they get that figured out, I can do a site inspection and see the vegetation disturbance, and we can go from there.
Okay. Is the applicant, the owner of 17 Harvard Way on the call? All right, why don't I open this up to questions to the members? TJ, what are your thoughts on this one? That we've never had a generator request before.
Yeah. I'm good, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Woody, how about yourself?
I'm good. Thank you, Bob.
Hey, Brad, any questions on this one?
No, thank you. Good, very good, Mr.
Okay, Mick, how about you? Any questions?
Just one, was there a sale on generators that I missed?
So my understanding is how this works is they're getting more affordable. And by them being more affordable creates more access. It's just informing the applicants that the requirements that need to be met on Plum Island, for example, or within one of the resource areas under 31010.
I'm good.
Okay, Mick. Thank you, Mick. Diane, any questions?
No, I'm good with the standard.
Okay. And so Sean, I think what we should do is, obviously, we want it elevated. Yeah, our recommendation, if we determine it's a negative finding, is base elevation will be 2 feet above base flood elevation for the platform. Prior to construction or trenching, contact the agent. You will determine how and what if they have to do to mitigate or replant, remove, and reinstall vegetation that may be impacted. And that the installation will certainly, our approval is subject to all other applicable codes inspections at the local and state level. So with that being said, I'll entertain a motion to issue a negative finding for 17 Harvard Way with those conditions.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, roll call. TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Yes.
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. All right, continued public hearing. DEP file number 0501422, 10 6th Street, for work to construct and raise a single-family dwelling on pile supported foundation and other site improvements. And I see Matt from Millennium. Matt, why don't you, as I recall, Matt, we were just looking for an updated planting plan was the only open issue. My recollection.
Yes. Yeah, you're actually quite correct. We were waiting on the DEP file number to be issued, as well as Commissioner Rimmer had some concerns that the vegetation wasn't quite as accurate as we needed it to be. And then we were showing like a 1-to-1 replication, and she requested that we beef up the replication a little bit more. And to Commissioner Rimmer's point, she was absolutely accurate that the vegetation was a little bit off. I spoke with my survey crew and they had lumped some of it together. You can see here, this is what the first plan was that we submitted to you. They kind of lumped the whole thing together as being highly vegetated. And when we sent them back to update it, you can see how much it changed. So we ended up with substantial bald areas out in the back where we had bare sand, and areas over here that were a little bit more irregular shaped versus what they had kind of lumped together, which was more generalized of the vegetated areas. In doing this and updating the vegetation, we included some areas up front here. We show where there's a parking area here, where the neighbors who live in this home utilize the driveway and they park here. And we've calculated all of the impacts that we now have with the updated vegetation and updated the table that we show here in the top corner. So you can see that we have existing man-made features, things that are being taken off of the property. That's the structure, the foundation, brick walkways, total of 691 square feet of man-made features coming off of the site. We're putting back 1,919 square feet for the new structure and the deck, so it is a substantial increase in footprint. But the actual impacts to vegetation, and I'm going to recenter this here so I can get my sliding bar. You can see over here the actual impacts to the vegetation in this table here is 782 square feet of impacts proposed to American dune grass, with replication being 1,237. So we're actually at just shy of a 60% increase, 58% increase to the amount that's being damaged to what's being planted. So it's a 1.58 to 1 ratio. And you can see here, we did show the shaded area in a crosshatch here that represents the footprint of the new building over any vegetated surface. You can see which vegetation is being impacted. and throughout. And then on the right-hand side, we took the green shading of the existing vegetation off and just shaded in the areas that are proposed to be replicated. So you can see the unshaded areas of the vegetated surfaces that are not going to be impacted. Those will remain the same. The green area is the bald sand spots that we will be replicating. And the total, again, is about a 58% increase over what we're actually impacting. Other than that, I did add the DEP file number directly to the plan. Anytime I get an opportunity to do that, a revised plan, I like to put it right on the plan, so there's no question finding it later. The tables were updated and DEP has issued the file number, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Matt. All right, questions from the members. TJ, any questions for Matt on this one?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I as I said earlier, it was really the vegetation and the encouragement to increase the ratio. Okay, thank you, TJ. Woody, any questions for Matt on this project?
No questions. Thanks for updating everything and looks good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Woody. Brad, any questions?
All good. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mick, any questions for Matt on this project?
Only because I probably forgot that, but Matt, your planting list, is it primarily American beach grass that you're replacing?
Yes, a good point. One other thing I wanted to point out is we did identify 2 shrubs in the front here that are to be removed. So at a minimum 50% ratio or replication, we've got 3 new shrubs up front here, and we're calling those out to be common juniper shrubs.
Okay.
And that information is shown on sheet 2 of our plan set. We've got a photograph here with a blurb straight off of the Coastal Zone Management website as a plant species off of their approved list for barrier beaches. So we have the dune grass and then the common juniper shrub information here.
Okay. No, great. Thank you. Perfect. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mick. Diane, any questions for Matt on this project?
No, the plan was good. It was like a jigsaw puzzle, so I could figure out where the plantings were
No,
gonna be.
I like the way Matt showed the existing and proposed and color coded it for us that are
Yes.
eyesight is failing at 7:30 at night. Okay, Matt, I have no questions. I think you've answered the previous questions at our last meeting. Sean, do you have any questions for Matt on this matter? Sean, you're on.
I have zero questions for Matt. Thank you for updating the plan.
Okay, Sean, do we have any raised hands from the public at this time?
We do not have any raised hands from the public.
Okay. Do any members have a request for a site visit, additional information, or plan amendment, or adding additional content to the notice of intent?
No.
Okay, hearing no request for additional information or a site visit, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call, all in favor? TJ?
Aye.
Woody?
Yes.
Brad?
Aye.
Mike? Mick, excuse me.
Aye.
Diane?
Yes.
And Bob Connors votes yes. All right, so team, at this time is usually when we discuss any special conditions. I think, Matt, you had shown the limits of construction with fencing, as I recall, in our previous meeting. You're pointing to it right now.
Yes, I'm just trying to get my mouse to cooperate so I can zoom in here. The limit of construction fencing, which is intended to try to keep the contractors off, is only about 5 feet around the structure. It's not very wide.
Okay. All right, and storage of materials and all that, Matt, you're going to keep them in existing driveway areas. You had everything, I think, already spelled out in tables.
Yes, yep. So we have a construction staging note down here that indicates all staging, dumpsters, and material will be done solely within permitted areas and not within any vegetated areas. So it'll all be within the driveway.
Okay. All right. I don't see any need for special conditions. Questions? Anyone have any other comments or conditions that we should consider?
No, sir.
All good, Bob.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to issue an order of conditions for 10 Sixth Street with the usual conditions.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, roll call, all in favor, TJ,
aye.
Woody,
Yes,
Brad,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Okay, the next order of business, it's continued public hearing, DEP file number 050-1424, 18 Temple Boulevard West. That has been continued until June 4th at our previous meeting. So no further action is required on that. Administrative report, Sean, anything that you want to add? My soup is getting cold here, so keep it quick.
No, I think that's pretty much it. It's almost the end of the year, our fiscal budget. There's that. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Sean, great job on, we had a meeting yesterday with U.S. Fish and Wildlife and Mass Fish and Wildlife. And it was regarding endangered species and the like. We had a good collaborative, positive meeting. Sean played an instrumental role and it had the wisdom to just run by some of the overlapping confusion we had with what we can do for cleaning the beach, removing medical waste. And that was directly from Mass Fish and Wildlife. So good job and a great job, Sean, on shepherding the whole emergency certificate. Thank you for doing that. That was great.
Thank you,
And
Sean.
other than that, I have no comments. Anyone want the final word of the night before I entertain a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
To bring you back to that point, the new signs are on the access ways. And I mean, so about the plovers, it would be nice if for educational and outreach. So we're devising methods on that.
Yep. Thank you, Sean. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. We have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call. All in favor. TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Aye.
Brad,
yeah.
Aye.
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Bob Connor. 7:37. Isn't that
Not bad. Not bad.
thank God it's not a Boeing. I don't know. It was a
Oh,
Superman.
Storm's coming in.
Want to be on that.
I know.
Better than 9:30.
Yeah. Listen,
And
thank you.
it's lightning right now.
It is here, I know.